Oh gosh, just take a deep breath and know that we can make a miracle. Together, we can make a miracle if we believe. And as we gather together today in our sacred spiritual home, we come together inspired by Eddie Watkins and his song, and knowing that God is within each and every one of us. And so we can make a miracle. We can make that magic. We can bring about world peace. We can live in harmony. We can live in peace. We can live in love. It's all there. All we have to do is be aware and consciously accept the fact that, yes, God is us, as us, and we can make that miracle. I bless everybody that is with us here in the sanctuary and on Zoom and everywhere else that people are tuned in. I'm so happy and grateful that we have the media tech that we have with us, Adrian, as our service runs with ease and grace. And I love the music that we've chosen for today. Also the message. That was our own Dr. Ernest Holmes that shared his message with us about the nature of God, about the nature of nature, about the law of nature, and how we trust in gravity and we don't even think about it. Let's trust in God that way and know that world peace is happening right here and right now. And I bless our favorite son, Neil, our minister in training, our guest speaker for today, as he always has such a message that we can hear and we can use as we go out into the world. I'm so grateful to be here and to have you here with me, and so it is.
At Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont, we believe in spiritual living. Above all else, it is a philosophy that teaches us how to think and not what to think. We invite everyone to practice this philosophy by living in principle. We believe that God is all there is, and each person's relationship to God is a personal one. Every person, place, and thing, and all the space in between is not only an expression of God, but God itself. All love, peace, and beauty that is God exists within each person right now. Together we are all connected as one. Our faith allows us to apply this philosophy to our lives in every moment of every day. As we live in love, we see love revealed and flowing through the world around us. We act as citizens of this spiritual community at all times. This is how we think. We believe in God, we believe in ourselves, and we believe in you because we believe in spiritual living. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont.
Good morning again. So our global theme this year for Center for Spiritual Living is Living Everyday Wonder. We've been talking about the everyday practical aspects of spiritual living. It's not just something that we do on Sundays. It's not something that we just read in a book. It's something that we directly apply to our life. So our monthly theme has been the inner life. And I want to talk to you today about the ultimate fear busters. So our monthly theme has been living inside out. So I hope the last couple of weeks that you have gotten this idea that we live from the inside out. We live empowered lives, right? Whatever it is that's going on in our consciousness shows up in the world. What is our consciousness? We use that word a lot. What does it mean? Well, it can just mean awareness. But most of the time when we're talking about consciousness, we're talking about this bubble that we carry around with us. And inside this bubble is all the sum total of our beliefs, our thoughts, and things that we have accepted as being true. Now, this bubble that we carry around us that we like to call the consciousness acts as two things. One, it's a magnet. Our consciousness attracts to us the things that it is like to. So our consciousness acts as a magnet. But it's also a screen. And we're either attracting or repelling everything that we come across in our lives. Every thought that we have, every conversation that we have, everything that enters into our perceptual awareness, we either own it and attract it, or we push it away. Every single thing. And so our topic today is the ultimate fear busters. And fear is one of those reasons that we tend to push things away. We talk a lot about the law of attraction, but we don't talk necessarily about the law of repulsion, right? We want to attract things, but we also push things away. We push our good away. Fear is a reason that we don't accept our good. Fear is also being sent in our direction all of the time because it's in our global cultural awareness, what Ernest Holmes called the race consciousness. But we talk about it as the global consciousness of humanity. But the truth is that fear is just a form of energy. And what we know from science is that energy can't be created, nor can it be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So today we're going to talk about this energy of fear and how it acts as a screen in our consciousness. And we're going to talk about 4 fear busters, the ultimate 4 fear busters. Number 1, be aware of it. Number 2, question it. Number 3, shift it. And number 4, love it. Fear serves a purpose. Sometimes there's this misunderstanding in spiritual living that, we want to get rid of all of our fears. We should never experience fear or feel fear about anything. And that's just BS, which of course I mean belief system. Fear serves a purpose. It is like the light that comes in on my car to let me know that I'm almost out of gas. Right? It's that light that comes on my dashboard and says, ding, you need to think about getting some gas. It's our mind's way of bringing our attention to something or helping us see and make choices. If I'm walking down the streets and I think about going down a dark alley, right? My fear looks at me and says, maybe that's not the best choice. So this is not about getting rid of our fear, but becoming aware of it and how it's operating in our lives. Is it serving us or are we serving it? What is the energy that we are feeding in our life? So there's an old Cherokee Native American story about 2 wolves. And the story goes that one morning an old Cherokee man told his grandson about a battle that happens inside people. And he said, "My son, the battle is between 2 wolves inside of us. One is evil. It is anger, envy, jealousness, sadness, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other wolf is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, goodness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson pondered this for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" The old Cherokee man replied, "The one you feed." The one that you feed. Right? What is the energy of our lives that we are feeding? Are we feeding love? Are we feeding peace? Or are we feeding the energy of fear in our life? The Course in Miracles and many New Thought spiritual traditions tell us that there are only two root emotions: love and fear. Every decision that we make, everything that we either accept or push away, comes from one of those two root emotions. Either it's fear or it's love. So which wolf am I feeding? What kind of gas am I putting in my gas tank? Because that's what my life is going to run on. But the beauty of this teaching is that it's all about consciousness. It's all about making the unconscious conscious. We don't want to run on automatic. We don't want those unconscious beliefs and thoughts running our consciousness. So our first step is we have to become aware of it. What am I feeding? And the beauty of it is when I realize that I'm not being who or what I'm choosing to be, there's no blame or shame in day one. There's just recognizing that I am not being who I'm choosing to be, and so I shift. Our first step is to be aware of it. What is running my thinking? What is running my decisions? Is it love or is it fear? The second step is to question it. This goes on my larger theme that I've been talking about with you guys for the last year, about spiritual inquiry. The ability to ask questions, the ability to question what it is I believe, question what I'm thinking about, question my motivations for doing the things that I'm doing. If we're going to be conscious and aware spiritual practitioners, we need to be able to question our own thinking, to have that metacognition, to think about what I'm thinking about. If our thoughts create our reality, then I need to be aware of what I'm thinking about. I need to be able to question what I'm thinking about. One of the greats, my favorite spiritual teachers, is a lady by the name of Byron Katie. And she has a spiritual practice called The Work. If you Google it, she has a really awesome website that has a lot of that teaching. But she has some questions at the center of her teaching. And the first one is it true? Is it true? So when I have these fear feelings, when I have anxiety, when I have doubt, one question I can always ask myself, is this true? Because most of the time when we're having fear and anxiety about something, it's about something we're imagining. Does that make it true? It's something that we're predicting might happen. Does that make it true? The second question is, can we absolutely know that it's true? Is it absolutely true? The third question is, how do you react? What happens when you believe this thought? So let's say I'm having a thought or anxiety feeling about something. My first question is it true? Well, yeah, it feels pretty true to me. Okay. So I'm going to go to the second question. Is it absolutely true? No, I don't know that it's absolutely true. Something else is always possible. Number 3, how do I react when I'm believing this thought? How does it feel to live in fear? Does my body get tight? Then I start getting headaches and physical symptoms. How do I feel when I start believing that thought? And the fourth question, who would I be without that thought? That's where she gets you. Who would I be if I wasn't having that thought? This practice of spiritual inquiry and questioning ourselves is, I think, one of the most important spiritual practices that's going to deepen us and really take us into the depth of this spiritual practice and the spiritual teaching. Another question that I think is useful when we're talking about fear is being able to question your fear and say, what is this fear trying to tell me? If I think back to, walking down the street and going into that dark alley, if I say to myself, well, what's my fear trying to tell me? Well, that's probably not the best decision. Do I want to listen to that? Probably, right? It's giving me good information. But if my fear is keeping my good from me, keeping me from being in a healthy relationship, keeping me from leaving a toxic work environment, or my fear is keeping me in a toxic relationship, what is your fear trying to tell you? That you're not worthy of something else? What is your fear telling you? Is it telling you to stay safe and make responsible choices? Or is it telling you to shrink your bubble, to shrink your world, to put up walls, to put on armor? Because that's probably not going to serve you. Number 3, we shift it. Simon Sinek was talking about, in our Words of the Wiser video, about how physiologically there's little difference between fear and excitement. It's the same energy pointed in a different direction. A way that we can interpret the same feelings. We can choose to interpret it as excitement rather than fear. That's one way to shift it. Another way is to simply shift our vibration. Fear is energy. It has its own energetic vibration. So if we can increase the energy, the vibration of what we're doing, we can move out of fear. Have you noticed? When, was it almost 2 years ago already? Wow. 2 years ago, when we started this process of quarantining and sheltering at home, and there was a lot of fear going around, I recognized the power of simply going for a walk, doing yoga, meditating, doing whatever you can do to simply shift the energy to up the vibration of what you're feeling. And when you up that vibration, when you up the energy of what you're doing, the energy of fear falls away. One of the best ways I know to shift that energy is recognizing God in whatever I'm in fear about. Thomas Troward writes, Thomas Troward was a early 1900s philosopher. And he was one of the people that the founder of our spiritual practice, Ernest Holmes, Thomas Troward was one of his teachers. He got a lot of his ideas from him. And I'm teaching Roots right now, which has a lot of Thomas Troward in it, so he's on top of my mind. Thomas Troward says, "Therefore, whatever may be the nature of our anxiety, we should endeavor to dispel it by the consideration that there may be already existing other facts we do not know about, that will produce a different result from the one we fear. And in any case, there is a power which can produce new facts in answer to our appeal to it." There are more facts than we know of. We look at a situation, we look at the world, we see a certain set of facts, and that produces fear. But our faith tells us that there are already facts that we may not be aware of. And even if there's not, we believe that there is this power in the universe that we can use, that answers us, that responds to us, that can produce new facts that maybe we haven't even thought of yet. I'm going to read that again. "Therefore, whatever may be the nature of our anxiety, we should endeavor to dispel it by the consideration that there may already be existing other facts which we do not know of, which could produce a different result from the one we fear. And in any case, there is a power which can produce new facts in answer to our appeal to it." There is a divine intelligence. There is a intelligence operating. The universe is a place of order and balance. And it may not always look like that in the moment, but that we believe that there is this power back of everything that will bring everything into alignment with it eventually. We shift it by recognizing that there are facts that we don't know and that there is a power in the universe that can produce new facts. The last part about shifting it is this. If all else fails to shift your energy around fear or anxiety or doubt, choose something more important. You may not know this about me, but I am, at the core of my being, pretty much an introvert. Getting up here and talking is not a natural thing for me to do. But I have learned that what is important to me is to spark that new thought, that new idea in the people who are listening to me. Those ahas, that spirit of being a teacher that says, hey, you help me think about something in a new way. And I choose that purpose in my life to teach spiritual principles and spiritual practices is more important than my fear of public speaking. Choose something more important. My desire for peace is more important than my fear. If I'm in a toxic work environment, but I'm afraid to lose my job because I think that it is the source of my good, source of my income, sometimes to move past that fear, you have to recognize that your peace and your freedom are more important than your fear. What's more important? My health? My peace? My freedom? Choose something that's more important than your fear. That doesn't make the fear go away. It says, I'm choosing this instead. So, recognizing that there are more facts than we know, shifting it by looking at excitement rather than fear, increasing our vibration by walking, praying, meditating, serving others, and choosing something more important are all those ways that we shift ourselves out of fear, anxiety, and doubt. My fourth point today was to love it. And here's where it gets a little deep, in case it hasn't been already. Whenever I am in fear, whenever I'm in doubt, whenever I'm in anxiety, I am saying that I believe in more than one power. Because whatever it is that I am fearing, whatever it is I have anxiety about, whatever it is I have doubt about, I'm saying that's a power other than God. So when I feel fear and anxiety, one of the questions I always ask myself is, what other power do I think is at work here? Because if God is all there is, if there is only one power, one presence, and one principle operating in the universe, it's not whatever I'm fearing and God. It's not God and. We've talked about this almost every week this month. Is it God and whatever I fear? Is it God and the news, whatever's going on in the world? Is it God and the thing I'm doubting about? Or is it just God? There can't be God and fear. They're fundamentally incompatible because God is love. And in love, there is no fear. Ernest Holmes said that fear and faith are the same energy pointed in different directions. Those two wolves in our story are the same wolf. They're just pointed in different directions. Fear and faith are the same energy pointed in different directions. Either I'm giving my faith to the principle, to knowing that God is love, the universe is a place of order, or I'm giving my faith to whatever it is I'm fearing. Either way, I'm giving my faith to something. Is my faith in God, in love, in truth, in principle, in presence, in the order of the universe, or is my faith in the world? The things that I can see, the things that change, the things that are on the news. Either way, I'm using faith, just pointing it in different directions. Lastly, Ernest Holmes says this: Peace comes from the absence of fear, from a consciousness of trust, from a deep underlying faith in the absolute goodness and mercy, the final integrity of the universe in which we live, and of every cause to which we give our thought, our time, and our energy. Everything that we give our thought, time, and attention to comes from a universe which is absolute goodness and mercy. And from that, we develop this trust. And from that trust comes peace. Peace comes from the absence of fear, from a consciousness of trust, and from a deep underlying faith in the absolute goodness of the universe. So, this is my last week with you this month. So as I leave you this month and this topic of the inner life, what I hope that you are taking away is this idea to live from the inside. When we live from the inside, this inner life, we recognize God in ourselves. That was week 1. We recognize God in everything that we see and everything that we perceive. And when we do that was week 2. And when we do that, we can forgive anything and everything. Week 3. And when we do that, we can fear nothing. Our topic today. And so it is. So I invite our practitioners to stand and join me in the consciousness of prayer today. And I'm going to go a little outside our normal routine, and I'm going to invite us to pray the prayer for world peace by Ernest Holmes this morning. And the belief that we may see that there is not in the peace in the world, but we know that, as Evonne said this morning, we can't see what we don't bring with us. And so our first job is to know peace within ourselves before we can see it in the world. So this is a prayer for world peace by Ernest Holmes. I invite you just to close your eyes and enter into that atmosphere of prayer with me. I know there is but one mind, which is the mind of God, in which all people live, move, and have their being. I know that there is a divine pattern for humanity, and within this pattern there is infinite harmony and peace, cooperation, unity, and mutual helpfulness. I know that the mind of humanity, being one with the mind of God, shall discover the method, the way, and the means best fitted to permit the flow of divine love between individuals and nations. Thus, harmony, peace, cooperation, unity, and mutual helpfulness will be experienced by all. I know that there shall be a free interchange of ideas, of cultures, of spiritual concepts, of ethics, of educational systems, and scientific discoveries. For all good belongs to all alike. I know that because the divine mind has created us all, we are bound together in one infinite and perfect unity. In bringing about world peace, I know that all people and all nations will remain individual, but unified for the common purpose of promoting peace, happiness, harmony, and prosperity. I know that deep within every person, the divine pattern of perfect peace is already implanted. I now declare that in each person and in the leaders of thought everywhere, this divine pattern moves into action and form to the ends that all nations and all people shall live together in peace, harmony, and prosperity forever. And so it is. And I invite you to stand and place your hand over your heart with me. There is this thing called peace. Peace is in my mind. Peace is in my body. Peace is in all my affairs. I accept it. I embrace it for all that it is and for all the ways that it is showing up in the world now. All is well. Thank you, life. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us for our Sunday service. Please remember to like, comment, and share this video on Facebook, YouTube, and any other social media you are a member of. To donate to CSL Beaumont, you can text GIVE to 951-420-6909, or you can visit our website at cslbeaumont.org and click the donate button at the top or bottom of the page. You can also mail your donation to CSL Beaumont, 802 Maple Avenue, Beaumont, California, 92223. Have a blessed day, and namaste.